You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
That's why Golden State is the best team in the NBA. 67-15. But, after games 1 and 2 against Houston, which could have gone either way, and James Harden, after averaging 33 points in games 1 and 2, Game 3, much to my surprise, ended up being anything but a nail-biter. If you guys remember college football last season and the Oklahoma-Clemson game, I'm sure some of you don't because a lot of you probably are fans of neither, that was one of those games where Clemson just kicked the crap out of Oklahoma. And as one person on local radio put it, that game was over not when the clock said fourth quarter and the time was 0-0-0, indicating the end of the game. This guy said that the game was over once Clemson got off the bus just hours before the game. You already knew that it was over. And I'm not going to go as far as to say we knew this game was over 3 or 4 hours before, because we didn't, because Houston, again, had opportunities to win both games. Just couldn't finish it off. This game was over pretty much in the first half, okay? It's pretty much over in the first half. It was really a bad sign for the Rockets when you see Curry hitting his threes, doing his thing, but at the same time, when you see Klay Thompson, who still has not shot well in this series, but he got off to a nice start. When you see Draymond Green doing his thing from mid-range, and Andrew Bogut, after being a no-show in Game 1, he played, but come on. He was worthless. Game 2, played much, much better. And Game 3 picked up from where he left off in Game number 2 and ended up finishing with a gem. An absolute gem of a game for Andrew Bogut. 12 points, 12 rebounds. You'll take that. You had Draymond Green, 17 points, 13 rebounds. And in the middle of the second quarter, when this thing was a single-digit Warrior lead, absolutely all hell broke loose against the Rockets. Golden State took an 8-point lead and made it over 20 with under a minute to go before halftime. Steph Curry's performance of 40 points is astounding. Not just because of the fact that this happened in the playoffs, and it happened on the road, and it happened against a Houston team that still had to feel like they could get back into the series because they hosted games 3 and 4. Steph Curry says, no, we're not going to have that. I'm going to get my assist, get double digits in assist. I'm going to get my points. And remember, he scored 40 points by taking only 19 shots, from the field, and 37 of those points happened in just 3 quarters. He barely played the fourth quarter for 40 points and sat out the last 10 minutes plus. So could have been even more for Steph Curry, who, by the way, breaks Reggie Miller's single playoff record for most threes. He ended up with 64 after this one, and of course he had 7 in game number 3, 7 of 9. And the most astonishing thing to me about Curry was his play inside the perimeter. Okay, Dwight Howard, I know Dwight's not 100%. He did all he could offensively with 14 points and 14 rebounds. But Steph Curry, you talk about, Curry's about this tall, Howard's about that tall. Curry was actually backing up Howard in the paint to get rebounds and score. He was actually, kind of posting him up a little bit. That's something you don't expect. You expect Curry to do his damage from the outside, and he was actually doing just as much damage inside. He was getting, shots over the long-stretched arms of Howard. Howard had to be just completely frustrated. But it wasn't just that. It was just an overall great game for the reigning MVP. And if people out there still are skeptical about Golden State, because at times they struggled against Memphis, and the first 2 games got, pushed to the limit, I think those doubts have been answered now. Golden State up 3-0 and have a chance for the first time since the 1970s to get to the NBA Finals. Nothing short of amazing for that team. Nothing short of amazing. And then we look also, too, at Houston's struggles. James Harden, he had 17 points, but very, very misleading because 10 of them happened from the free throw line. 3 of 16 from the field. And he only got 1 field goal in that first half, and that was with about 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. That's right. It took him 10 minutes to get his first actual bucket. So what happened differently? Well, first of all, give Steve Kerr credit. This time, the primary guy who would draw the assignment of Harden would not be Klay Thompson. Instead, it was going to be Harrison Barnes. Now, you look at Harrison Barnes' line in this game, he didn't score a point, okay? Didn't hit a three. He was 0 of 9 from the field, 0 of 3 from three-point range. Didn't make a difference, though. Didn't matter. Because everybody else was contributing, it seemed. 11 Golden State players scored in this game, 11 of them. But not one of them was Harrison Barnes. But Barnes did his damage on defense. His outstretched hands were giving Harden fits. And even when Harden could get free off a pick, in which Barnes was out of the play, another guy would be right there. It could be a Draymond Green. It could be Andrew Bogut. Give credit, too, coming off the bench, the veteran Andre Iguodala. What a smart acquisition this was for the Warriors. Harden all night was getting frustrated because, again, they would switch off. And you wouldn't see double teams so much as you would see switch-offs, okay? So even when Harden got free, which didn't happen often, somebody else was right there for him, whether it was, Draymond Green. We know how great of a player he is. And still, Thompson at times got assignments, but he wasn't the primary guy. It was Barnes. And then Bogut, too. So we're seeing why Golden State was number 1 this year in the NBA when it came to overall team defense. They were number 2, by the way, in team offense. And the scary thing, too, despite the fact that Golden State won this thing by 35 points and won every single quarter in the scoring department, especially that second quarter, here's the scary thing. It still was not Golden State's best ball. Now, granted, Steve Kerr, the thing he was complaining about toward his team after the first 2 games, despite being up 2-0, was turnovers, okay? Too many turnovers. They only had 1 turnover in the first half. I thought that was the biggest thing in this game. That was the number 1 thing. But again, it was not their best game, and we know this because, overall, many of the other starters did not shoot the ball well from the field, okay? They didn't. We know that Barnes didn't score, but also, too, Klay Thompson had 17, but again, he was missing more shots than he was making. He's in a mini slump right now. So we're seeing that Golden State, and again, Andrew Bogut, he fouled out early in the fourth quarter. And we're missing Klay Thompson. Thompson only made 1 3 out of 7. So, the scary thing for Houston is that Golden State is still looking for improvement. And that's bad news entering Game 4 Monday night from the Toyota Center. And the odds are really against the Rockets. I know they came back from 3-1 to beat the Clippers. Okay? That was a hill. This Golden State team is like Mount Everest, okay? Pale in comparison to a mere hill, okay? We all know the stat, okay? No team's ever come back from a 3-0 deficit in the best-of-7 series in the NBA playoffs. Never happened before, and only 3 teams have forced a Game 7. And only 9 teams, by the way, have ever forced a Game 6. So are the odds against Houston? Well, to quote many people who've said this before, duh. In baseball, it happened, back in 2004 in the ALCS, when Boston came from 3-0 back to beat the defending American League champion at the time, Yankees. And in hockey, it's happened 6 times, if you can believe that. But basketball, it's never happened before. In the 50s, I can't remember who it was that forced a Game 7, but in the 90s, it was Denver in 94 against Utah. And most recently, in the early 2000s, when Portland, down 3-0, did force a Game 7 against Dallas before the Mavericks finally put the Trailblazers away. So we know that Houston is a team that can fight adversity, but this is a whole other animal. And I cannot foresee them winning Game 4. Doesn't mean they can't win Game 4, but they not only have to make adjustments on the court, but they're going to have the mental fortitude and the hunger to win this game. That's where I really don't know if Houston's going to have it. I mean, you're down 3 love, and Dwight Howard still is not healthy, even though he's out there. And James Harden, this has to be mentally crushing for him because he was shooting over 50% after the first 2 games. And on Saturday, he was just 3 of 16, barely over 20. And as a team, the Rockets were only 20% from three-point range and 33% from the field. And that was stunning the most. But again, give the credit where credit's due to Golden State for their defense just as much as the offense. By the way, of course, Sunday night, Game 3 of the East Finals, Cleveland hosting Atlanta, and they'll host Atlanta again Tuesday night for Game 4, or as a lot of NBA fans are saying, the final 2 games for the Atlanta Hawks season. And the news was not any better for Atlanta when I found out that Kyle Korver out for the remainder of the conference playoffs because of the severely sprained ankle. Kent Bazemore will get the start. So odds are against Atlanta, and odds now are really against Houston after Golden State goes up 3-0. Game number 4, Monday night. Bye.